Hi, everyone. You're here because you want to get to the heart of things, quickly and deeply. And today, well, we're diving into something absolutely core to, I think, all our lives. Friendship.
hmm It's huge.
These connections, they're just so vital, aren't they? So we're going to explore both the science behind it all and maybe some of the stories to really get how they work and, importantly, how we can nurture them.
Yeah, the how-to is crucial.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. Pull out the key insights about why friendship matters so much, what the science actually tells us, and, practical ways to strengthen these bonds.
That's good. Where do we start?
Let's jump right in. Why is friendship just so fundamental? Why does it matter for our well-being?
Well, uh, at its absolute core, friendship gives us essential support, like for our emotional health, our mental health.
Support, right. But what kind of support?
It's actually pretty varied. Think about it. Sometimes it's emotional support, a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
Other times it might be informational, like getting advice when you're stuck on something.
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes it's even instrumental support, practical help, like someone helps you move house.
Ah, right. The practical stuff, too.
Exactly. And that mix, that unique blend, it creates this really powerful sense of belonging,
Yeah.
of companionship.
Belonging. That feels really important.
It is. And interestingly, research actually links strong social connections,
Mm-hmm.
good friendships with lower levels of stress hormones.
Really? Like physically?
Yeah, physiologically. And it's also linked to a reduced risk of things like anxiety and depression. It's not just a fuzzy feeling. It has a real impact.
Wow, okay, so it's more than just, having someone there. It's these different types of support, and it hits our stress levels. That's significant.
Definitely.
So, thinking about the friendships that really last, the strong ones, what are the key ingredients? What makes them stick?
Well, there are several factors that consistently pop up. Shared values are a big one.
Shared values. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it provides this kind of fundamental alignment. It just makes the connection feel, I don't know, easier,
Hmm.
more natural.
Right, you're sort of on the same page.
Exactly. And then trust. That's absolutely vital. It's basically the foundation, isn't it? It lets you be vulnerable, be authentic.
Can't have a deep friendship without trust, surely.
No way. And then there's communication. Open, honest communication. That keeps understanding flowing, helps you navigate disagreements,
Which are going to happen.
which are going to happen, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, mutual support. That sort of consistent give and take.
Where both people feel like they can rely on the other one?
Precisely. But, these aren't passive things. They don't just happen. They need active engagement. Both sides have to work at it.
Okay, so it sounds less like you just accidentally click and more like you're actively building and maintaining something.
That's a great way to put it.
Like prioritizing quality time, not just being in the same room, but focused attention and actually showing appreciation. That seems crucial.
Definitely. Saying thank you, acknowledging effort, it matters.
And it seems realistic to expect challenges too, right? Like friendships aren't always smooth sailing. The ability to work through those bumps, that seems like a real sign of strength.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, sometimes navigating those difficulties together, overcoming them, can actually make the bond even deeper.
Yeah, I could see that. Shared history, even the tough bits.
Exactly. Now, thinking more practically, making new friends when you're an adult, it can feel, well, different. Harder, maybe, than when we were kids.
Oh, definitely changes. Yeah, it's not like the playground anymore. But the sources had some pretty practical advice on this, didn't they?
They did. What stood out to you?
Well, things like joining social groups, clubs, classes, stuff built around shared interests.
Like a book club or a sports team?
Yeah, exactly. A hiking club, pottery class, whatever. Places where you naturally meet people who like what you like. Volunteering came up too.
Ah, volunteering. That's a good one. Shared purpose.
Right. And attending community events, basically putting yourself in situations where you might actually meet people.
Yeah, the key is often just showing up, isn't it? Creating those opportunities for interaction.
True. You won't make friends sitting home alone. Well, usually.
Which actually brings up an interesting point about technology, right? Because it plays such a dual role in connection these days.
It really does. Total double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's amazing for keeping in touch, especially over long distances.
Yeah, video calls, quick messages, invaluable.
Totally. They keep those lines open. But then the sources also warn about, too much screen time or just scrolling passively through social media.
Right, how that can actually make you feel more isolated.
Exactly. You might have hundreds, even thousands of online friends, but still feel deeply lonely. That disconnect.
That contrast is so important to grasp. It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
For sure. And when we look at the overall benefits, the real benefits of close friendships, they go way beyond just like having fun, right?
Oh, absolutely. We see these tangible improvements in mental and emotional well-being. We talked about stress,
Yeah.
but also just that stronger sense of belonging, which is like a fundamental human need.
We all want to belong somewhere.
We do. And it builds resilience. When life throws curveballs, friends help you bounce back. They can be real anchors in tough times.
Anchors. I like that. They really can be. Okay, so we've looked at the what friendship is, its importance, and a bit of the how making and keeping friends.
Hmm.
Now, let's maybe dig a bit deeper into the why. What's the science tell us? Why are these connections so powerful for us, like on a fundamental level?
Yeah, this is where it gets super interesting. The study of friendship isn't just one field. It's really interdisciplinary.
Okay.
It pulls from psychology, how we think, feel, behave individually,
Mm-hmm.
from sociology, how we operate in groups and social structures,
Yeah.
and even from biology, looking at our brains, our hormones.
Wow. Okay. All those angles. So psychologically, what's going on?
Well, psychologically, friendships tap into our deep-seated need for attachment.
Attachment, like from childhood.
Sort of, yeah. That need for secure connection doesn't just vanish. Friends provide a sense of security. They also foster empathy, that ability to understand and share someone else's feelings.
Which is key for connection.
Absolutely. And they offer crucial social support, that emotional safety net we talked about. It validates our experiences, makes us feel understood, and that helps reduce stress and anxiety.
So it sounds almost like our brains are kind of hardwired for this stuff, for connection.
In many ways, yes. And that brings us to things like oxytocin. People often call it the cuddle hormones or love hormone.
Right, I've heard of that. How does it fit into friendship?
Well, oxytocin is released during activities that promote social bonding and positive interactions with friends. That definitely triggers its release.
Oh.
You can think of it as like a neurochemical messenger.
Hmm.
It reinforces feelings of trust, relaxation, closeness, makes bonding feel good, basically,
So our body is actually rewarding us for making and keeping friends.
pretty much. And what's really significant is that this same hormone is involved in like pair bonding between partners and parental attachment, mother-infant bonding. From an evolutionary standpoint, this suggests a really deep biological root for why strong social ties, beyond just romance, are so important for us.
That's fascinating. It puts a whole new spin on friendship goals, doesn't it? It's chemical.
It really is. On a very real chemical level, our bodies are nudging us to build and maintain these bonds.
And that impact on mental health keeps coming up. It feels like more than just feeling a bit happier. It sounds quite profound,
It is profound. Strong friendships actively combat feelings of loneliness and isolation.
which we know are really bad for us.
Seriously bad, for both mental and physical health.
Yeah.
And that sense of belonging we get from friends, it significantly boosts our self-worth. It reminds us we're valued, we're seen for who we are.
Okay, so understanding the science gives us this amazing framework, but the sources also talk about personal stories, right? How they offer a different kind of understanding.
Exactly. The data is crucial, but stories, they illuminate the nuances, the complexities, in a way that numbers alone can't. It's where the theory kind of meets real life.
Makes it more human.
Totally. Personal anecdotes give you these really profound insights into how friendships last, how they change, the dynamics involved. Like the example in the source material about the two college friends.
Oh, yeah, the ones who stayed close for decades, even though they lived far apart.
That's the one. It highlighted how they made a really conscious effort, prioritizing regular calls, planning visits. It wasn't accidental.
That really drives home that active role point again, doesn't it? It takes work. It doesn't just coast along.
Not the strong ones, no.
So when we look across different stories, these meaningful friendships, what are the common threads? What patterns pop up again and again?
You often see a strong foundation of shared experiences.
Yeah.
Those moments, those big ones, small ones that people have navigated together.
Builds history.
Right. Reliable mutual support is almost always there. Knowing someone has your back consistently.
That dependability.
Mhm. And underpinning it all, usually, is this deep emotional connection. It's marked by strong trust, genuine empathy, and just a profound sense of understanding each other.
That feeling of being truly gotten, seen and accepted, flaws and all.
Exactly that, without judgment. That's incredibly powerful.
So it really does all circle back to intentionality, doesn't it? The sources really hammer home that nurturing friendships isn't passive.
Not at all.
It demands that we actively invest, we put in the time, the effort, and we consistently show appreciation for these people who make our lives better.
Absolutely. Just like any relationship we truly value,
Yeah.
right? Friendships need attention and care to really flourish.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. We've explored just how essential friendship is for, well, everything, our overall well-being, mental health, emotional health. Big impact.
Huge impact.
We looked at the key things that make friendships strong and lasting stuff like shared values, trust, communication.
Mutual support, working through challenges.
Right. And we touched on practical ways to maybe make new connections, especially as adults, and also that tricky dual role of technology.
Yeah, the good and the bad sides of screens.
And then diving into the science was fascinating, seeing how psychology, biology, things like oxytocin release all point to how deeply wired we are for these bonds.
Underscores the importance, definitely.
And finally, those personal stories, they just remind us that great friendships don't just happen, they're built. They're
Right.
maintained through real, conscious effort.
And these aren't just, abstract concepts. This is stuff we can actually use. Practical guidance for our own relationships.
Absolutely. Which leads us nicely to our final thought for you, our listener. Thinking about everything we've discussed today. Consider one of your own friendships right now, or maybe even the idea of starting a new one. What's
Hmm.
one small thing, one action, based on what we've explored, that you could maybe do this week? Either to deepen that existing connection, or perhaps to take that first brave step towards building something new.
It's an investment, isn't it? An investment in your own well-being, really. Something definitely worth thinking about.